or an observer of all the new Marvel discourse because of, oh, surprise, Tarantino. No, I think I just get
Tarantino
it
what?
because Tarantino was saying how there are no more movie stars. Chris Evans is not a movie star. Ryan Reynolds is not a movie star because you go for the character. I could see what he means, but it's not so much me talking about what Tarantino is saying, but like, of course, that cascades into the usual, is Marvel ruining the movie business.
I am on that side of discourse on TikTok, but it's from J-Lo. It's not for, I haven't heard Tarantino's. But now that you said it, yeah, but now that you said it, when you're talking about there's no more movie stars, I do remember him saying that. And there is no good motivation to say something like that. Because
they don't say it in a productive way. They don't raise up independent.
What is a productive way to say that there's no movie stars when there's actors out there? Like, are you going to tell me that Cate Blanchett is not a movie star? Toni Collette is not a movie star? There are many actors that pull people into the theater. They're not movie stars? Like, it's just weird.
I love thinking about Toni Collette's speech in Hereditary. Don't you swear at me, you little shit. I am your mother. I love it.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Favorite of mine.
You can't watch Knives Out and tell me that Chris Evans isn't an actor, a movie star.
Yeah, I also like him in Scott Pilgrim. He plays the.
I like him in everything. He's fantastic. He's very talented.
I'm not a huge fan. I mean, but but I don't. So the thing about it is, whenever
I did Zombie Punk. I did see what Scorcese said. Yeah, they're all saying the same thing. They're just tired and they have no ideas.
Well, Martin Scorsese hasn't done anything interesting since Hugo, which I was more of a fan of.
Quentin Tarantino thinks Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is his best movie he's ever made. Like,
well, so we're doing what they're doing. Let's be better than them. We're gonna be better than them.
I'm not better than them. I'm just not paid as well.
Well, let's say I'm not better than them, but what I think the discourse should be, in my little person, nobody opinion, is instead of trying to tear down Marvel movies, Marvel fans, people that make Marvel movies, instead raise up the independent films, raise up the films that you want to see, that maybe it's not your movie, maybe it's not your friend's movie, but it's a movie that because they go to these festivals, and movies go to festivals to get more distribution. So support films that you do want to see more of. Talk about what you do and support what you do want to see, instead of just being.
So here's the reason why I brought up that, what Tarantino said about his own movie. The reason I bring that up is because that movie didn't do as well as he hoped. And then he has to say something like, there's no movie stars anymore. And you know that the motivation behind that is because his films are not performing like they used to. And then they look to blame things like Marvel. Marvel is doing exactly what you used to do when you were fucking relevant. Like, Marvel just happens to be more relevant right now because it's capitalizing on a fandom and streaming services. It's not just catering to one movie and expecting and hoping for a blockbuster in theaters. It's that entire machine is a corporation that has evolved because it is a corporation that is working within the system of capitalism. It's not working within the system of a box office.
And they make way more money overseas than they ever did.
This compared to the fucking Marvel Corporation. Disney! We're talking Disney! This is Tarantino. Disney!
I think Disney is evil. But
I don't care. I don't. It's a corporation. It's not evil, but
I think there's a lot of evil in it. But
people that
but
run
I'm not anti everything Disney. I'm not. Marvel isn't for me. But but they've always. This is the discourse throughout history. And so people that are big movie fans and know a lot about movies, yes, the scale is bigger, but it always has gotten bigger. That's how it happens. That's how things change. Things change. So first of all, it was the ad. So first off, before movies, people are like, no one's gonna, now that movies are a thing, people aren't gonna go see a play, people aren't gonna go see the theater. And yes, it's true, people don't go to plays the way they did before movies. It has changed, but it still exists. It still is its own experience.
And then the advent get made into movies.
And then there's the advent of TV. Which is similar to the advent of streaming. And yes, it is a larger scope. And when you think of one thing that does concern me a little bit when it comes to these big blockbusters is that they do make a lot of monies overseas, so they kind of do a lot of censorship that they're not going to offend other sensitivities. Not that it has to have an American sensitivity, but it makes no decisions at all, which I hate. But I do think, but westerns was a thing that ruined cinema, and we all know that's not freaking true by a long shot.
No, it's interesting because
Big epics,
Zombie
Heaven's Gate, you idiots.
Zombie Punk said that he's more excited for a Tarantino movie than a Marvel movie. And I think
I
that's
agree.
actually an interesting point because I think a lot of people who love film, who are really into film, do look forward to very specific directorial reason. Like they look forward to directors putting out films. They look forward to specific talent, producers, cinematographers putting out specific films. Whereas Marvel is speaking to a fandom. It's not just speaking to an individual who appreciates a certain person's work, right? I appreciate Tarantino's work. I think he as a human is fucking annoying, but his films are good. I like his movies. I like his writing. I like the way he does things. I didn't like Kill Bills. That's probably my biggest hot take is I don't like the Kill Bill movies.
Yeah, that actually is. I think those are my favorite of his movies,
actually. They're my least favorite. They're my least favorite. I do not like them. I think they're overly chaotic for no fucking reason. Like the way the storytelling's chaotic for no purpose. It's like you threw the fucking script in the air by chapter and just picked them all up. Like that's the only thing I don't like about it. And there's other things. Anyways, not the point. I understand being drawn to that. So I am someone who loves commercial shit. I do. I am a sucker. I am a target audience for Marvel, for Disney, for all of those, all of them. I am a target. I know this about myself. I'm very self-aware. I don't care. I like them. I love the Marvel universe. I watch all of them religiously. And I rewatch them. I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special and I cried. Okay. I love it.
I love that about you. I do.
But that's what I'm saying. I want you guys to know that when I'm speaking for Marvel like this, I'm not trying to defend Disney. I'm just trying to speak from a perspective of someone who does look forward to films from Tarantino, Scorcese. I fucking loved The Irishman. I just did a guest appearance on Oscar Worsty podcast where we talked about The Irishman. We talked about Parasite.
I love Parasite. Now we're talking.
You see what I'm saying though? I can talk to those movies. I can speak to those things. I could look forward to films by directors. I can speak to the cinematography and why I like that stuff. I understand it, but I also understand the big corporate shenanigans. I get it because I'm also that target. So all I'm trying to say is you cannot blame Marvel for Disney doing what makes business sense with today. And they're doing it better because as a giant corporation, they're hiring the best people, the best talent, the best predictors of the market. They're buying all your fucking data. So they know where things are going and they're capitalizing on it and they're moving things in that direction. It's not Marvel, it's fandoms, it's social media, it's streaming, it's the fucking market is dog eat dog and it will always consolidate. It will always consolidate. So if you're expecting movie star, I'm never going to understand Tarantino's line on that, but
maybe independent you watched Ethan Hawke's documentary, The Last Movie Stars, which
haven't.
Is not. It's long. I don't mean that in a bad way. No. It's actually very interesting. Well, the thing about it is that it's a lot about defining. It's about Paul Newman and his second wife, Winwood, and so it's very much is a lot about defining yourself within the industry and as an actor, and it's very much about them as actors and as activists. It's very interesting. It's like it's in the he did it during the pandemic, so it's like you'll get shots of the movies and Vincent D'Onofrio's in it. Oh God, Brad Pitt is in it. But the thing is, Ethan Hawke's in it. but I mean they're just talking, having conversations, and but it's done well. But the thing about it is, but he hasn't made a comment about, he has talked about Marvel, but not in this context, in this way. But
he's in the Marvel machine.
Yeah,
right?
but he doesn't. He's not a fan. But he didn't trash it though. He said it was just a job.
Right. There it is. There it is. That's all I'm saying. Tarantino is an asshole for talking shit about Marvel when his mouth should have been directed at trust busting. That's where it should be directed. He should use that big ass fucking mouth and platform to denounce Disney's complete control over the market. That's what he should be doing. He should be talking about how Disney's basically got it's they're God, oh my God, what's the
Monopoly?
word? Monopoly, thank you. They have a monopoly a vertical monopoly going on right now, because they have, not only are they making films, they are turning around and they are distributing films. They own streaming services for films and production companies. That's all of it. That's it. That's all they need to own an entire market. Now, what can they gobble up next? All of it.
And it's so easy within a large glob. It's like the Blob. Disney's like the Blob to me. It's just, but
it's easier for Tarantino to talk shit about Marvel and his fellow actors than to turn around and take on Disney, right?
Yeah, it's just the thing. Well, also because Disney could give him a job.
Exactly. So he's talking shit about the same people for the same reasons and motivations.
But it's just easier. I know that a lot of what people say to defend Marvel, I'm using as kind of a blanket statement. It could be really kind of is promoting more diversity, and that is true in a way. But when Disney owns when one corporation has so much, it is easier for any marginalized person to get lost easily, and it's easier for that to happen in the future.
Well, they can also just accidentally be diverse at that point.
And I'm very scared of
effort from Disney to be diverse.
They're as diverse as they will allow. Things are always going to change. So yes, Tarantino's idea of what a movie star is perhaps doesn't exist the same way, but you can either decide to be like, oh, movie stars don't exist, Chris Evans, ew, or you can be the person that helps define what the new definition of a movie star is.
I do think, like, what's good about that, I get kind of weird about talking about Disney and diversity, just because I think diversity, in the words of Disney, is
commodified,
pandering a lot of times. It's because it's popular and they know it's going to generate discourse in places that's going to bring people to see movies. I don't always think that it's done, like, just when we talk about the way that they put out information, they do so in a way, they leak certain things, they title certain things, they put certain people on the forefront of certain things, and they announce things in a very specific way that they know is going to generate controversy. And they do that intentionally because controversy leads to social media, which leads to free publicity, that generates discussion and discourse, which brings people to the theater always. And Marvel has gotten really good about doing that in phase 4, especially.
I don't even know about the phases.
Churning it. And I don't think any of it's sincere. I like that it's giving us some diversity and it's giving some of what we want, but it tends to feel like it's coming from a very disingenuous place, which that's like the part of me that wants to enjoy the films and the shows and the movies and be happy with my cake, but then, like, slap the hand of the Disney hand that gave it to me.
Welcome to late phase capitalism.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to exist in this world we live in. I have to have some sort of enjoyment in those utter, like, fuckery that I have to exist in. I can't escape it. I'm not the president.
Was Kevin Bacon in the holiday?
He was.
And it
was lovely.
I saw it.
It was great.
He played himself?
He played Kevin Bacon is Kevin Bacon in that. He even gets a call from Kira. It's adorable.
I don't know who Kira is.
That's right, Kira Sedgwick.
Oh, his wife. Oh, I thought you were talking about a character. I love her too. They're so cute with their goats.
Someone had mentioned that that Marvel has been really good about casting, and the DCU has struggled in that department. And I'm gonna have to beg to differ a little bit on this, just because I think a lot of the actors and actresses that have been put into DEC films and shows are very successful outside of that and are very talented. I don't think it's the acting that's the problem. I think it's the writing tone and the direction that's the problem. And not director direction. I mean like business decision direction. Like you have like Kevin Feige, you got to give him credit. He knows how to spin a story that has very good compartments in it while having an overarching story and cohesiveness to create the entire MCU as it is, to tell an overarching story while building up these great characters that is highlighting good acting. Whereas the DECU, what you're getting is really bad direction that's trying to capitalize on some of what the MCU is doing in like correlation to it, as if they understand what their choices are, and they're just missing the mark, because what they're getting is this hodgepodge of second rate editing, poor effect design, poor direction, and tone. Overall, the tone is just not
I
matching up.
completely agree. And also, Ethan Hawke was talking about working in Marvel as an actor, and he said Marvel is great for actors, and to the actors, atrocious. Atrocious is not the word he used, but atrocious for directors. So that kind of really vibes with like how Marvel, what you were saying about Marvel compared to like
Yeah.
the DCU, like they made Batman into like a guy with a tank. I mean, that's not they. I'm not talking about
Yeah.
Pattinson, the other one.
The Bat flick, yeah.
Batfleck. And I have no problem with Ben Affleck, but the whole like it's they're so
And that was
boring.
them trying to capitalize on what was successful with the Nolan trilogy. It just doesn't make sense though in the DECU. So
Sense.
I love the new Batman. The Batman is so fucking good, but that is not really, I don't know how they would create a DECU out of that movie either, because the vibe is trilogy vibe. It's not universe vibe. We don't want to live in that dank ass, dark, depressing ass universe. That's not what's going to be successful either for a DECU. Now, as far as the current one, what you just spoke to, Zack Snyder, I also disagree. I think Zack Snyder's Snyder cut is okay, but in the
Okay.
DECU, it's great. If that makes sense. It's okay.
So this is a project that someday I will torture myself with, because I do not want to watch these movies. I have not seen either cut of the Justice League, but as somebody that is very interested in film, film, film itself, narrative storytelling, and where it falters, and all this, to myself, not something I do publicly. It would be to, and also really pinpoint and show a lot of the importance and change of an editor, and like which also shits on the auteur theory of the Snyder and Whedon. I almost forgot his name, thank God, but unfortunately I remembered it. Whedon.
They're both fine.
I have not seen either. So it would be interesting to me, as somebody that doesn't know a lot about professional film editing, or besides like editing little things on my phone. So like I don't know anything. So yeah. Well, actually, I don't know anything. But so it would be interesting to see if there's any conclusion to be made about the importance of film editing, because when we talked about women in horror, and they kind of expanded to other marginalized groups, that people say, oh, look how many more women in horror, or how many people of color in horror there are now. They've always been there. They've just been in pre and post production, so they get buried in the auteur theory.
Horror Dan, that's exactly my point though. He mentioned it. He said, I thought compared to the first bad version we got, it was so much better. It is better. It is much better. Within the DECU, the Snyder Cut is better. It's good. It's great. But within the grand scheme of things, including Marvel, even the Snyder Cut is just.
Oh, I heard, which I never kept up with because I didn't like the first Avatar. Apparently, the next Avatar movie's coming out after what? Like
I could
forever?
care fucking less, to be honest. I hope it's a $2
James
billion
Cameron.
disappointment so James Cameron can say Marvel's ruining cinema.
It's just like True Detective season 1. It's a flat circle. It all comes back around.